So today is the most high pressure part of this window build. It's the main joinery day, and in today's video I'll be taking this window from 2 circles and 4 sticks to the finished casement frame, hopefully fitting inside the frame circle. But today is Saturday, which is my weekend, so why am I working still? Well, yesterday on Friday I tried to do this joinery, but it all went wrong in the first hour. I woke up, got my stuff together to drive 1 hour to the workshop that I rent to use the large tools there for the joinery. I arrived, unpacked my stuff, got out my cut list and started milling the rails of the window down to thickness. I had completed 3 of the 4 rails when at the last step I put a rail through the thicknesser the wrong way round, cutting it way smaller than I should have done. I didn't have any spares, and the only way to make a new one was to laminate some other pieces of sapelli together and wait for them to be ready the next day, and then start again. So that's why we're here now, trying again. So I start out on the jointer. It's pretty difficult to get this part wrong, but anything's possible, I guess. Once I have 2 flat square faces, I can move to the bandsaw and cut the stile to the correct dimensions this time. Just over the correct dimensions actually. I literally measure this one 3 times and double check against my correctly cut piece. Then I move to the thicknesser. That's where I made the mistake yesterday. Again, I double and triple check and thickness the piece on the correct side this time. All good so far. Now I mark out the joinery. This is of course a critical part to get right, so it's worth spending the time on. I kind of feel like yesterday's mistake was meant to happen. Like if I had continued with the day, I would have made a fatal error, which would have meant starting the whole job again perhaps, rather than just starting one day again. I feel like at the very least it's made me focus extra hard today and make sure I don't make any more stupid mistakes. Now my joinery is marked, I chose to cut the simple recesses first. It's still a nerve-wracking moment after yesterday's mistake, so as with everything today, I double check and reference what I'm doing before making the cuts. The recesses of the round parts of the window were made with a rabbiting bit, but it's quicker and less mess to do the straight recesses with a table saw. But it does mean that the straight and the curved recesses won't be exactly the same depth and height. I considered making loads of mess and noise rabbiting the straight sections, but decided against it for the much more civilized and efficient table saw method. After cutting the recesses, I cut the stiles to their exact angled dimensions and move on to the difficult part, which is the joinery, mortise and tenons. First, I need to cut the curved rails out of the circle they are made from. Again, I'm hesitant to make the first cuts. I don't have a spare circle, so I really can't make mistakes here. The first time I made this style of window was a few months ago, and it was a large job that included 3 round doors with this design. I don't know if working on a larger scale made it easier or not, but of course the process was difficult as it was my first time attempting this design. It took me 2 days to do the joinery. The joints were so big that I couldn't use the mortising machine, so I had to cut everything 1,000 times with a track saw, and it took ages. It was back-breaking work as well. I was bent over the whole day trying to do these cuts. It was slow, stressful, but in the end it worked. So this time I used the mortise machine, and it is such a joy to use. I can easily slowly cut to the exact line, just hogging out the whole joint with the machine, and everything is good and nice. I use a saw and chisel to take off the parts that the machine couldn't reach, and I go to fit the joints together for the first time. So this is always the scary part. Have I actually cut these joints correctly? And the answer was no. I don't know why I do this each time, but it seems to happen somewhat regularly. So much in fact I felt embarrassed to even film myself fixing the joinery gaps. I put the window together and there were gaps along the shoulders basically. I go ahead and try and fix these with small kerf cuts. I learned from last time not to go straight in with a track saw and do the kerf cuts. That is a bad idea. So I use the fine blade on a pull saw and I slowly squeeze the joint together. But after quite a few kerf cuts I can squeeze the window together and it looks really good. It's also almost perfectly square from corner to corner. So now it's 2:30 and there are other things I could be doing at the workshop today, but after yesterday's work and a day of stressful joinery I am mentally shattered, so I call it a day. Next video I'll be assembling the joinery, which is a little bit scarier than the cuts. Any mistakes here could waste all the work from today, so like, subscribe, thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.